I feel like sometimes I almost have a duty to stand up for what I believe in and also be able to play the sport and again like show people that if you work hard and no matter what, like you can do these things regardless if it's basketball or whatever you want to do.
Welcome, everybody. This is Jermaine Jackson, sports producer here at Daybreak Star Radio, the only station indigenizing the airwaves. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with a rising star who's making waves both on and off the court, the talented athlete Kendall Currence. She's a winner of the 2002 Pat Summitt Most Courageous Award, which has been voted by the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. Her skill, dedication, and passion have already set her on a path to greatness, and we're thrilled to get an inside look at her journey. Kendall, welcome and thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm good. Happy to be here.
So, first question, if you could please introduce yourself to our listeners and let them know what great nation you hail from.
Like you said, my name is Kendall Waapami Rising Feather, and I'm from Herring Pond Wampanoag Nation.
So, when did
Mhm.
you first discover your love for basketball and what inspired you to pursue it seriously?
I probably played the basketball like when I was like 5, so super young. It's always kind of been part of my family. Um, and since I was young, like I said, I've always like just had the dream of playing professional basketball, whether it be WNBA or right now I'm overseas. So
Oh, nice. So, how's that going with the playing overseas?
it's good. It's fun. I'm in England right now.
Oh, okay.
Newcastle, been here about 2 months and it's been good.
So, can you share a standout moment in your career so far that has shaped you as a player?
If I refer back to high school, um, I went to this private school, small on Cape Cod, back where I'm from. And I had scored 1,000 as a sophomore and then 2,000 as a senior. And when I had first originally went into high school, I was just thinking, oh, I'm going to score just 1,000 by like senior year. But when I realized I was able to do that my sophomore year, I was like, I might as well just go for it. Maybe that. Yeah.
How has your Native American heritage influenced your journey in basketball and impacted you both as a person and as an athlete?
Being in a tight-knit community and just trying to make them proud back home and seeing what, trying to be an inspiration for other Native youth, whether it's the sister tribe or my own tribe, just I can imagine like what it was like if I was in their shoes when I was younger, seeing someone that looks like us make it big and just be an inspiration. So kind of motivates me that way.
How has being both Black and Native, two heritages, and how has that affected you in your career?
I think it's made me able to have different insights and different outlook and have such a unique experience because also being Black and Native and then also living in this other colonized world that we live in, like trying to balance both and yeah, and this craziness. And I think it's like really a blessing, honestly, to be who I am.
What is one of the biggest challenges you faced in your athletic career, and how did you overcome it?
Believe it or not, honestly, it was tearing my ACL because all the other stuff, like the heart murmur, the cleft lip palate, like those are things I was born with. So like those are kind of the cards I was dealt and like I already knew I'd have to have the surgery. Already knew that like that was expected. So I kind of had to overcome those things regardless.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like funny in a way because like tearing my ACL has nothing to do with like how I was born or anything like that. But I did it in 2022, so it's been 2 years now, and that was really hard to come back from. Like something that you've been playing your whole life was just like taking away from you. And like there's literally nothing you can do besides rehab and try and get back.
How long was that recovery time?
I think it took me 14 months to get back to like full play.
How would you approach building camaraderie with teammates, especially those who come from like different backgrounds and experiences like you have?
It's funny you asked that because actually a lot of my teammates have been very interested in my background and my heritage. And I feel like they're always wondering like what I'm doing. Like I've said, oh, I have like a tribal meeting or something like this after practice, or I have something to do after practice. And I feel that they're actually interested to learn and oftentimes wondering, oh, how can they help? Or what else do they need to know to be educated about certain subjects?
I read that you volunteered at the Plymouth plantation. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, we know the Pilgrim story when they came over and Plymouth Rock and all that yada yada. And sometimes they have like different events, and there are people that work there like that's their full-time everyday job. But I was able to have the pleasure of working with them a couple times and dressing up in my regalia and educating people that came to visit.
What would you say your biggest strengths are on the court?
Probably scoring. Like I'd say I'm like a three-level scorer.
So what about what are some specific skills that you're focusing on now?
I don't think it's anything physical. It's more like mental. Especially coming back from tearing my ACL, I had to gain a lot of confidence that was just lost during the process. Um, so I honestly I haven't been working on anything specifically, just the average shooting and defense at practice. But I've honestly been really working on my mental, going to yoga, trying to get my mind right when certain situations don't go right, or if we're losing a game, like how can we motivate one another as a team and me myself to help others so that we can like overcome these hurdles. So yeah,
How are you enjoying the pro basketball overseas?
I am enjoying it. I'm happy they speak English
Yeah.
for one.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely that the language barrier sometimes.
well, they actually up in Newcastle where I'm at, they kind of have their own like English dialect, so sometimes I still can't understand what they're saying, but
Oh yeah.
But it's good. I cook most of the time. I've been able to explore and like go down to London. The train's all pretty easy and yeah.
So how is the season work? Are you in the middle of the season right now, or is it just starting? Or
Yeah, so it started our first game was it and it was like towards the end of September, and right now currently we're on a FIBA break. It's like a break where if you're a European player or somewhere over here, you go back to your team where you're from and you play. So one of my teammates is from Switzerland. She actually is back in Switzerland playing on the Swiss national team. Same thing if I were to get called back to go to Team USA training camp. It's kind of like that. So they give us like a break. It's like a week and a half, 2 weeks of like no games, but we still practice.
so how do you stay in touch with your Native American roots while you're all the way out, overseas across the pond?
Well, I actually am doing a little bit of work for my tribe back home, which I can conveniently do on my computer. Um, just making sure, like, as far as like staying in touch, like I was able to bring my sage, my tobacco, my sweetgrass here. Um, Sometimes those things, when I light them, like they clear my mind and all of that. So, well, and my dad is the medicine man. So, I check in with him every day.
So how was it growing up with your dad as a medicine man?
I think it's very crucial in like my upbringing, like as I've gotten older and I'd say like been more in touch with myself and learning about me. And even if it was like I had a lesson that needed to be learned or something, but they always poured confidence into me, always there. Like high school, I don't think they missed a single game. I've kind of like looked up to him in a way and like how hard his role was. And sometimes I help him in ceremonies, and I even helped him at one of our sister tribes powwows this past summer. I was able to be like the fire keeper, and that was like a really cool experience. And I know why he's tired all the time now. But yeah, community support, family support, friend support has wildly impacted me, and I'm blessed to have the people supporting me.
What does it mean to you to represent um, Indigenous culture within women's college basketball, and how do you handle that responsibility?
It means everything to me. And like I remember I had Shoni Schimmel growing up when I was younger. Um, And like that was just one person, or like Ronaldo Vicente, who not a lot of people know because she's a lot older. Um,
ASU, correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so those are great female role models from like out west. And obviously I'm from the East Coast. And so like I feel like sometimes I almost have a duty to stand up for what I believe in and also be able to play the sport and again like show people that if you work hard and no matter what, like you can do these things regardless if it's basketball or whatever you want to do.
Do you have any aspirations like beyond the game of basketball?
I guess for basketball, I can finally say that I made it because the one thing I wanted to do since I was small was become a professional athlete. So I kind of did that. Um, I did want to go to the WNBA. There's a lot of stuff in the works and different teams and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if I'll get the opportunity to go there. It would be cool. But I might just continue to play overseas as long as I can and have that experience of going to different countries and whatnot. And also, it gives my family an opportunity to come over here and visit me. Um, and as far as stuff outside the game, I do have my own business. I have my own clothing brand. And in the future, I'm hoping that I can expand. And I train kids in basketball on the side, but I'm trying to mesh those two together eventually and possibly open my own gym where kids can get access to working out, basketball, kind of like something that I would have wanted.
What advice would you give young Indigenous girls that dream of pursuing sports, whether in basketball or some other areas?
You can do it. Whatever, whether you're from the res or not, because I've seen, like, I didn't grow up on the reservation, but I have seen people have, and they've been wildly successful. And I feel like there's like this stigma around that, like, people can't do this and people can't do that in our communities. And I would just say, I would just look at them and be like, you can do whatever you want. You can go to college. You can do this. You can be like me and be a professional athlete. You can impact the next 7 generations. So if you need to find the motivation of if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your mom and dad. If you mom and dad is in the picture, do it for the people that come after you. You've got to
Definitely.
find your purpose and find your motivation, and you will get there.
Where can our listeners find more about you?
I have like Instagram, social media. It's I am K3NDA11. Like I am Kendall, but a three. I do have a website. It's just kendallcurrence.com. It definitely needs to be updated. And then also my clothing brand is the KC1 Collective.
Thanks for talking with us, and I appreciate you having you on, and we hope you are blessed with much more success in the future.
Thank you so much.
Out there, when we first got there, we had to go through like what I would call hell week. They made us do basketball practice for like a week and a half.
That was the basketball camp they took you guys out to, right?
Yeah, and I did that. And mind you, I've played res ball my whole life. I'm used to layup lines and threes. That's all I'm used to. They had us running 5 minutes.